So, if you're in New South Wales and you're one of those lucky people with a 66 cent feed-in tariff, gross feed-in tariff, I'm sure you're aware that it's ending on the 31st of December this year, 2016. So if that's you, what are your options? Well, first things first, you really need to get a new meter before the 1st of January 2017. Now the good news is that pretty much all the retailers are now offering free meter upgrades without lock-in contracts. So how that's going to work is, you've probably got a letter already where they offer to swap your meter over. So that's a gross meter until the 31st of December. Then on the 1st of January, they flick a switch in the cloud and it switches over to a thing called a net meter. So that means that you're only getting paid for the electricity you export to the grid, but you don't have to pay for the solar electricity you use in your house. Now, is that a good thing? Is your retailer upgrading your meter for free a good thing? Well, it depends on what you're signing up for. Make sure, if you agree to your retailer upgrading your meter for free, that it's not a lock-in contract. And from what I've heard, thanks to a company called PowerShop that was the first to do this, most retailers are now offering free meters without a locked-in contract. So that's really important. Do check what you're signing up for, because I don't know about you, but I don't trust these electricity retailers myself. The other really important thing to check is that they're not putting you on a thing called a demand tariff. That's a new style of tariff that I won't go into in detail here, but to cut a long story short, it kind of cripples the payback of your solar system by charging you for how peaky your usage is, not how much you use. And that's a whole other topic, but suffice to say, if they're signing you up over the phone, or you've got a contract, on the phone say, I refuse a demand tariff, and make sure it's recorded on the contract. I'd go so far as scribbling on the contract, I am not signing up for a demand tariff. That's how bad these demand tariffs are. If you want to have a look around for a better deal, that's a good idea. There's lots of retailers. Ones that I like in New South Wales that I actually trust are PowerShop, who I've already mentioned. I know they're doing a free meter upgrade and no lock-in contracts and reasonable rates. And Diamond Energy. Have a look at Diamond Energy. They're really solar-friendly retailers and they're quite big in New South Wales. If you want to compare all the retailers, there's a tool here or somewhere on the site. You'll see the link to it. We let you compare retailers, compare feed-in tariffs. So that's quite a good research tool too. Okay, so that's your meter. The next thing you need to be aware of is, as you go from really generous gross to not very generous net feed-in tariff, you're probably used to getting a check every year from the retailer for $1,000, maybe $2,000 more. You're going to start paying a bill of $1,000, $2,000 more. How do you prevent that? You've probably heard people talk about batteries. Don't do it. In 2016, batteries are not going to pay for themselves. They'll get your bills down, but they won't pay for themselves. You know, you may pay 10, 15, 20 grand for the batteries. They're not going to pay for themselves with bill reductions before the batteries need replacing. So just hold off on batteries. Probably the best thing you can do is energy efficiency. So that means you're using less in the first place. You want to hit 80% of your energy efficiency problems. You need to look at the insulation in your home, you need to seal the drafts, and you need to fix your glazing. So look into that. That's probably a medium-term project. In the short term, you can get more solar. You can get a second solar system next to your existing solar system. You won't affect your gross feed-in tariff up to December, but you will start getting paid for the extra solar electricity, and that extra solar electricity will help offset what you're using in your home when the new tariff kicks in January. If you're on the gross feed-in tariff, you're probably on a smallish solar system. Most people who signed up for that have got a 1.5 kilowatt solar system, which is, you know, it's pretty small in the scheme of things. I would recommend upping that by another 3.5 kilowatts if you can. So you've got 5 kilowatts in total. Get advice from your solar installer what the payback will be, but for most people in New South Wales, especially if you're considering batteries, that's a reasonable size that's going to make a good dent in your bills, and it's going to pay back much faster than buying batteries. So that's what you need to know if you're getting kicked off the 66 cent feed-in tariff on December the 31st, 2016 in New South Wales.